Good morning, folks. I'm Long Beach Mayor Rex Richardson. Thanks for joining us for our weekly live stream where we provide updates on our local homeless emergency. Today, I'm joined by Tom Modica, City Manager of the City of Long Beach, and we're having an important conversation. Recently, homeless count results were released across the state, giving us a better picture of the situation in surrounding regions and across the state. Tom is here today to discuss this data, help put into context for Long Beach, and to talk about the progress that we as a city have made and continue to make. So to date, just over half of the jurisdictions in California have released their homeless count numbers for 2023. And while this is not yet a complete picture of the state of homelessness in California, I think now is a good time to begin to place our own homeless count numbers in a broader perspective. So Tom, we do this every week. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to jump right in. So first, what are we seeing across the region and state with regard to homelessness?
Absolutely. Well, good morning, Mayor, and thanks for having me on for today. So what the data are telling us is that so far homelessness is a big problem, as we know, across the entire state, the entire region, and it's not unique to Long Beach.
That's right.
So far this year, the state of California saw an increase of over 9,900 people experiencing homelessness. And we expect this number to go up when the rest of this year's point-in-time count are released. As it stands now, we're looking statewide at about an 8.6% increase in homelessness compared to last year. And so we look at our continuum of care. There's 11 of those in Southern California. And the numbers that have been released, there was an 11.2% increase in those continuums of care across the continuums. So to put that into perspective locally, Los Angeles County saw a 9% increase.
Okay.
LA City saw a 10% increase.
Okay.
And Pasadena is looking about an 8.8% increase.
Okay.
So other parts of Southern California are also experiencing increases. In Riverside County, they went up about 12.3%, and San Diego County went up 21.8%. There's also some jurisdictions that have seen some small reductions in homelessness, but overall, the region and the state as a whole is looking at a pretty large rise of people experiencing homelessness outside, and cities outside of California are also seeing this. This is a national issue, so as we all know.
Right.
Just to give some national context, Portland is up about 20%, Phoenix is up 7%, and Chicago is really seeing a large increase, about 57% increase.
Right.
And so let's look at Long Beach. Our numbers are up a little bit here, but the story is that when we did our point-in-time count, that's all it is a point-in-time count, we went up about 4.6%. We released our numbers earlier as part of the emergency. We went faster than normal, and so we released them in April. But that 4.6% increase was actually the smallest increase we've seen since 2019. When we look at us compared to the region, the cities just north of us, they increased about 36%.
So the rest of the gateway cities?
Most of the rest of the gateway cities, that's right. And then the cities that we share regional planning with, which is kind of the cities to the west of us, San Pedro area, Wilmington, they went up about 46%. So even though our increase is smaller than some of our neighbors, it's important to note that this is a regional issue. We're all in it together.
Absolutely.
And it's important to note this is just a point in time. It's called the point in time count. It's a snapshot. And so homelessness is an issue that affects all of us, and everyone needs to be part of the solution. We're going to be continuing our work with other local jurisdictions to figure out what we can all do on this issue together.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more that this is certainly a regional problem and it requires regional solutions. But I think it also is important as we continue to invest in responding to homelessness and address these challenges that we do put it in context. How's Long Beach doing within the region? And when you see that, last year we saw the 42% increase last year, right?
For us, 62%.
It was 62%.
Yeah.
And then it went down the next year to 4.6%. That's slowed growth. That was great progress that we saw. And to see that the region around us continued to rise, and they're at 46%, and we're seeing our 4.6%. I think that's encouraging that we have to continue to be a leader in the region. And as I have conversations with other mayors and other cities, folks say, how's it going in Long Beach and what are the things we should be doing? And we encourage them to be a part of the solution, continue to open interim shelter, partner with other cities across jurisdictions. And so it's important to advocate not just for Long Beach, but to advocate for our neighbors, including the gateway cities. So can you talk about some of the things that we put in place as a city, both in terms of our homeless proclamation and the things that we're doing prior to the proclamation and now?
Sure thing. So happy to sum up. It's a long list, but just some of the highlights. So even before we did our emergency, our Homeless Services Bureau had been directly working to break down some of the barriers that people experience to get into housing. And so we do that through our multi-service center. We do that through outreach. We've also got some great innovative programs that have been running for a while now. Our homeless court, working with our city prosecutor. Right. He's been doing that since 2021 and helping people experiencing homelessness take care of minor offenses to get connected to services.
That's right.
Another big program I really am proud of is our Homeward Bound program.
It's a great program.
So if someone is experiencing homelessness in our city but has come from somewhere else and has a support system somewhere else, we help make that reunion happen. And we provide transportation, we provide money for food, expenses for the journey, and make sure they have someone to take care of them when they get there. This is a citywide effort, and we have a great interdepartmental team there that brings everyone together. So a number of departments are there, and they meet regularly, and they work on those difficult spots that are kind of cross jurisdictions. It's a really consistent response. It gives us better increased access to services, and it streamlines our processes.
We have a great team.
It's pretty innovative, and it's a good way to bring people together to find solutions.
That's right.
And since we proclaimed our homelessness emergency on January 10th, we've been able to move even more quickly to put new structures and programs into place.
That's right.
We're able to get our mobile access centers we've talked about. I think you've gone deep dive with the team here about how that works. But now bringing like a mobile MSC out to people who are in need.
Right, and we're expanding that program.
Yep, and a second one coming soon. When the whole cold and rainy weather hit this past winter, we took action setting up warming beds at the MSC, got people out of the cold. We also, through the proclamation, set up a new emergency shelter, but also became a lot faster in our purchasing, breaking down barriers, and that building now, we purchased it and it's going to become a year-round shelter.
Absolutely.
We also have a great safe parking program, so it's expanded so that even more people can be living in their vehicles in a safe place overnight, and then they leave and go to work and do what they need to do and have a place to come home to.
And can connect to services while they're there.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we also tell people experiencing homelessness about services in real time. We've got a text alert program where they can get updates on exactly all the things we're doing and how they can get connected.
And that's important. A lot of folks don't believe that individuals experiencing homelessness have phones, but many of them do. And if there's a way to contact them, it's great that we have that tool.
Absolutely, many do. And we provide charging services at the MSC and help them make sure that they've got the resources they need.
Absolutely.
The emergency also allowed us to get creative when it came to connecting people with housing and housing vouchers. And that's one of our biggest accomplishments to the emergency. Absolutely. We got this great resource from the federal government to help in an emergency, and we have reached 100%. So we have put all of those vouchers out. All 582 emergency housing vouchers are leased up with permanent housing. And on top of that, we recently received 79 stability housing vouchers from HUD. And so this allows us to connect qualified people experiencing or at risk of homelessness into permanent housing.
And I believe we're one of the first housing authorities to achieve 100% lease up.
There's just a handful that are at 100%. It took really hard work working directly with the landlords as well as people experiencing homelessness. And just a few cities have done that. Long Beach is one of them. Some of the others, we've looked at the list, are, some are at the 15% range, some are more in the 40-50% range, and we're at 100, and that certainly has had a big impact here in Long Beach.
Absolutely.
And that's just some of the examples.
I mean, it's great progress, and I think all this is obviously a team effort. We have incredible partners, and we want to thank everyone who, folks at the Housing Authority, our landlord partners, our housing provider partners that help us get to that point. It's been a lot of work. But there's one thing that was announced last Friday that's a pretty big deal for us as we think about how we get out of this emergency and how we are proactive. It's the pro-housing designation. Last Friday, State of California and the governor's office and HCD announced Long Beach as a pro-housing designation, which is a really big deal. And some of the things that they highlight is the fact that we can approve affordable housing projects in 60 days here and ministerially. and the fact that we are proactive and submitted a housing element on time. We planned for more than what was required within our RENA allocation. All of this planning and this pro-housing designation really prepares Long Beach to be a leader and to receive additional funding to make sure that we can deploy housing that's affordable. So this is terrific, what we're able to do as a team. And Tom, you're an incredible leader, and it's always great to see what you and your team have done, and what's more important on the horizon. So maybe you could share a little bit about what's to come.
Absolutely. So we got a lot more in the pipeline.
Yeah.
One of the big things we're looking at is prevention.
Yeah.
So a lot of former foster youth become homeless at disproportionately high rates.
Right.
So when you're in the foster system, a lot of things happen, and those
Absolutely.
then kind of build on themselves. And so we got to be
Absolutely.
really intentional about that work. About 1 in 5 of those experiencing homelessness came from the foster system.
That's right.
And so this is true locally, but it's also true across the whole state. And so the city's establishing some programs that provide upstream safety nets, like family and youth services, basic needs, rental assistance, and employment support. One of the other big things we're doing is we have a strategic plan on homelessness, and we're updating that. So we're working that plan right now, but we came together in 2018 to do an Everyone Home plan, learned a lot, worked on that plan, and now we're learning what we need to do to update it.
Absolutely.
And so that's a big part of that we're moving into the next step. And so we're going to take that information and use it to create Everyone Home 2.0, or that next version.
We might have a different name.
Yeah, might have a different name. So 2.0, it's the next one, and then we'll give it a good name, because that is the next iteration of
right.
that work. And so we also made some really good use of federal dollars, as we've seen in the success of our emergency housing vouchers. We've been advocating at state and federal level for a lot more resources. You've been traveling a lot to get that money, and that's been coming in.
That's what it takes.
Just got a lot of money from the county just recently for the homeless shelter. That was
right.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, a lot of encouraging things happening.
Well, that's what it takes. It's across government, different levels of government, intersectionally. By working together, that's the only way to make progress here. And it's great to see the kind of alignment, urgency. The counties being tremendous partners. They just received significant resources for mental health housing. We have applications in around recuperative care, which will be incredibly helpful. The states having big conversations about Mental Health Services Act reform, residential mental health. All of these things together really give California and give Long Beach the best shot that we've had in a long time at really making a real difference here. So by working together, we can really all make a difference. Because even one person without a shelter is one too many. So we're in a really good place, Tom.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us tell the story and talk a little bit about what's going on in Long Beach, but also in the region, because we often hear that this is a Long Beach problem. This is a regional problem, a state problem, a national problem. I think we all know that, so we can be proud of the work that's happening here.
Well, I certainly want to thank you, Tom, for coming out and joining us today, and your team. We have more work to do. We obviously know that. And this is the work that it's important to focus on issues like housing and homelessness, because if we don't, it's hard to focus on the quality of life issues that people really care about, and to focus on the big challenges that we need to tackle in our city, like building enough housing to address the rising cost of housing that's forcing people out, or preparing our economy for the transition on our climate. All those things are interconnected. And so I want to, again, thank you for your leadership. And I want to thank all of you once again for joining us. We do this every Tuesday at 11 o'clock. We strive to try to keep that commitment. Next week, we're going to have Commander Shalina Benson, who's doing some incredible work in terms of the quality of life team. These are specially trained police officers that work with individuals experiencing homelessness in our community. She also leads the neighborhood safety bike teams and many of the community policing efforts that are happening in our community. So thanks so much for joining us. Now we'll proceed with interpretation in Spanish and Khmer. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos. Gracias por unirse a nosotros en nuestra retransmisión en directo semanal, donde ofrecemos actualizaciones sobre la situación de emergencia de las personas sin hogar. Hoy el alcalde de Long Beach, Rex Richardson, estuvo acompañado por Tom Modica, administrador de la ciudad de Long Beach. Recientemente se publicaron los resultados de recuento de personas sin hogar en todo el estado, lo que nos da una mejor idea de la situación en regiones circundantes y a lo largo de todo el estado. Tom estuvo aquí para conversar sobre estos datos y para ayudar a ponerlos en contexto con Long Beach y para hablar sobre los progresos de que como ciudad hemos hecho y seguimos haciendo. Hasta la fecha, más de la mitad de las jurisdicciones en California han publicado su recuento de las personas sin hogar para 2023. Si bien esto aún no es una imagen completa de la ciudad de las personas sin hogar en California, creo que ahora es un buen momento para poner nuestras propias cifras de recuento de personas sin hogar en perspectiva. Lo que los datos nos están diciendo hasta ahora es que la falta de vivienda es un gran problema en toda la región y a lo largo de todo el estado, y que no es un problema exclusivo de Long Beach. En lo que va del año, el estado de California ha registrado un aumento de más de 9.900 personas sin hogar y se espera que esta cifra aumente cuando se conozcan las cifras del resto de los recuentos puntuales de este año. Pero así es como están las cosas hasta ahora, donde vemos un aumento a lo largo de todo el estado de 8.6% en el número de personas sin hogar en comparación con el año pasado. Entre los 11 centros de atención continua que han publicado sus cifras, hubo un aumento del 11.2%. Y para poner las cosas en perspectiva, el condado de Los Ángeles vio un aumento del 9%, la ciudad de Los Ángeles vio un aumento del 10% en comparación con el año pasado, y Pasadena está viendo un aumento del 8.6%. Otra de las partes del sur de California que también están teniendo aumentos, tal como el condado de Riverside, que tuvo un aumento del 12.3%, y el de San Diego, que tuvo un aumento del 21.8%. Hay algunas jurisdicciones que han visto una disminución en el número de personas sin hogar, pero en general la región y el estado se enfrentan a un aumento abrumador de las personas sin hogar. Las ciudades fuera de California están viendo más personas sin hogar que en los años anteriores. Portland con un aumento del 20%, Phoenix con un aumento del 7% y Chicago ha visto la friolera del 57% de aumento. Nuestras cifras también han aumentado aquí en Long Beach, aunque menos. El recuento puntual de este año mostró un aumento del 4.6% de las personas sin hogar en Long Beach. Tengamos en cuenta que este fue nuestro aumento más bajo desde 2019. Cuando se compara con nuestra región inmediata, las ciudades justo al norte de nosotros tuvieron un aumento del 36% y las ciudades con las que compartimos un área de planificación regional vieron un aumento del 46%. Incluso antes de que se proclamara la emergencia, nuestra oficina de servicios para personas sin hogar ha estado trabajando directamente para derribar estas barreras y para ayudar a las personas sin hogar a tener acceso a una vivienda a través de los centros de multiservicios y el alcance. Contábamos con programas innovadores como los tribunales para personas sin hogar, que funcionan desde 2021 para ayudar a las personas sin hogar a resolver situaciones con delitos menores y a conectarse con los servicios. Es un esfuerzo de toda la ciudad. Nuestro equipo de interdepartamental está formado por personas de todos los departamentos que ayudan a las personas sin hogar y se reúnen periódicamente para resolver problemas y para apoyarse mutuamente en su trabajo. Así es como se consigue una respuesta coherente, un mayor acceso a los servicios y procesos más ágiles. Es un modelo realmente innovador que aúna muchas piezas para encontrar soluciones. Y mientras haya gente en Long Beach que viva sin refugio, esta será una prioridad máxima en la ciudad. Quiero dar las gracias a nuestro ayuntamiento y a usted, señor alcalde, por asumir esta tarea. Y me gustaría terminar diciendo que estoy muy orgulloso de todo el trabajo que está haciendo nuestro personal. Todos de diferentes departamentos se han reunido aportando sus experiencias y sus ideas para hacer frente a esta crisis. Doy las gracias especialmente a todos los que trabajan en nuestra oficina de servicios para las personas sin hogar, porque este trabajo conlleva mucho esfuerzo y trabajo emocional, pero ellos se presentan día tras día para ayudar a nuestros vecinos sin hogar. Nada de lo que hacemos sería posible sin ellos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos.
Aron សួស្តីអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាសូមអរគុណសម្រាប់ការចូលរួមជាមួយពួកយើងសម្រាប់ការផ្សាយផ្ទាល់ប្រចាំសប្តាហ៍របស់យើងដែលជាកន្លែងដែលពួកយើងផ្ដល់ព័ត៌មានថ្មីៗអំពីភាពអាសន្ននៃភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងរបស់យើងថ្ងៃនេះអភិបាលក្រុង Long Beach លោក Richardson ត្រូវបានចូលរួមដោយលោក Tom Modica អ្នកគ្រប់គ្រងទីក្រុង Long Beach ថ្មីនេះលទ្ធផលរាប់ចំនួនអ្នកគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងបានចេញផ្សាយនៅទូទាំងរដ្ឋផ្ដល់ឲ្យយើងនៅរូបភាពកាន់តែប្រសើរឡើងនៃស្ថានភាពនៅក្នុងតំបន់ជុំវិញទូទាំងរដ្ឋលោក Tom បានមកទីនេះនៅថ្ងៃនេះដើម្បីពិភាក្សាអំពីទិន្នន័យទាំងនេះដើម្បីជួយដាក់វាចូលទៅក្នុងបរិស្ថានសម្រាប់ Long Beach និងដើម្បីនិយាយអំពីការរីកចម្រើនដែលយើងនៅទីក្រុងបានធ្វើនិងបន្តធ្វើមកទល់ពេលនេះមានតែជាងពាក់កណ្ដាលនៃយុទ្ធថាធិការនៅក្នុងរដ្ឋកាលីហ្វ័រញ៉ាបានចេញផ្សាយចំនួនអ្នកគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងរបស់ពួកគេសម្រាប់ឆ្នាំ2023ខណៈនេះនឹងមិនទាន់មានរូបភាពពេញលេញនៃស្ថានភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅក្នុងរដ្ឋកាលីហ្វ័រញ៉ាខ្ញុំគិតថាឥឡូវនេះគឺជាពេលវេលាដ៏ល្អដើម្បីដាក់លេខរាប់គ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងផ្ទាល់ខ្លួនរបស់យើងតាមទស្សនៈអ្វីដែលទិន្នន័យកំពុងប្រាប់យើងរហូតមកដល់ពេលនេះគឺភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងបញ្ហាធំនៅទូទាំងតំបន់និងរដ្ឋវាមិនប្លែកទេសូមមើល Long Beach រហូតមកដល់ពេលនេះរដ្ឋកាលីហ្វ័រញ៉ាមានការកើនឡើងក្នុងចំណោមមនុស្សជាង 9,900 អ្នកកំពុងជួបប្រទះភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងហើយយើងរំពឹងថាចំនួននេះនឹងកើនឡើងនៅពេលដែលនៅសល់នៃឆ្នាំនេះចំណុចនៅក្នុងពេលវេលារាប់លេខចូលបញ្ចូលប៉ុន្តែដោយដែលបានឈរនៅនេះយើងកំពុងសម្លឹងមើលនៅទូទាំងរដ្ឋ 8.6% ការកើនឡើងនៃភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងបើប្រៀបធៀបទៅនឹងឆ្នាំមុនក្នុងចំណោម11 Continuums of Care in Southern California ដែលបានចេញផ្សាយលេខរបស់ពួកគេមាន 11.2% កើនឡើងដើម្បីដាក់អ្វីៗនៅក្នុងទស្សនៈ County Los Angeles បានឃើញការកើនឡើង 9% ហើយទីក្រុង LA បានឃើញការកើនឡើង 10% បើប្រៀបធៀបទៅនឹងកាលពីឆ្នាំមុនហើយ Pasadena កំពុងសម្លឹងមើលការកើនឡើង 8.6% ការកើនឡើង County Riverside មានការកើនឡើង 12.3% និង San Diego County បានឃើញការកើនឡើង 21.8% មានយុត្ថាធិការមួយចំនួនដែលឃើញមានការថយចុះភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងប៉ុន្តែជារួមនឹងតំបន់និងរដ្ឋកំពុងសម្លឹងមើលទៅនឹងការកើនឡើងដ៏លើសលប់ចំពោះមនុស្សដែលជួបប្រទះភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងទីក្រុងនៅក្រៅរដ្ឋកាលីហ្វ័រញ៉ាកំពុងឃើញមនុស្សកាន់តែច្រើនឡើងជួបប្រទះភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងច្រើនជាងអតីតកាល Portland កើនឡើង 20% Phoenix កើនឡើង 7% ហើយទីក្រុង Chicago បានកើនឡើង 57% ដ៏អស្ចារ្យចំនួនរបស់យើងមាននៅទីក្រុង Long Beach ផងដែរទោះបីជាតិចក៏ដោយដូច្នេះពិន្ទុឆ្នាំនេះទៅនឹងចំនួននិងពេលវេលាបានបង្ហាញពីការកើនឡើង 4.6% នៅក្នុងភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅ Long Beach បន្ថែមថានេះគឺជាយើងមានការកើនឡើងតិចតួចបំផុតចាប់ពីឆ្នាំ 2019 បើប្រៀបធៀបទៅនឹងតំបន់បន្ទាប់របស់យើងទីក្រុងគ្រាន់តែជាភាគខាងជើងរបស់ពួកយើងមានការកើនឡើង 36% ហើយទីក្រុងដែលមាន ចែករំលែករំបំផែនការថ្នាក់តំបន់ជាមួយនឹងការកើនឡើង 46%សូម្បីតែមុនពេលប្រកាសអាសន្នក៏ដោយការិយាល័យសេវាជនគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងបាននឹងកំពុងធ្វើការផ្សាយផ្ទាល់និងបំបែករបាំងនិងជួយប្រជាជនចូលទៅនៅក្នុងលំនៅឋានតាមរយៈ MSC និងការផ្សព្វផ្សាយយើងមានកម្មវិធីប្រកបដោយភាពច្នៃប្រឌិតដូចជា Homeless Code ដែលយើងបានធ្វើតាំងពីឆ្នាំ 2021 ដើម្បីជួយមនុស្សជួបប្រទះភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងថែរក្សាបទល្មើសតូចតាចនិងភ្ជាប់ពួកគេជាមួយនឹងសេវាកម្មវាជាការខិតខំប្រឹងប្រែងទូទាំងទីក្រុងក្រុមការងារនិងអន្តរនាយកដ្ឋានរបស់យើងមានមនុស្សមកពីគ្រប់ផ្នែកដែលជួយភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងហើយពួកគេជួបគ្នាជាទៀងទាត់ដើម្បីដោះស្រាយបញ្ហានិងគាំទ្រការងាររបស់យើងទៅវិញទៅមកនោះធ្វើឲ្យមានការឆ្លើយតបស្របគ្នាបង្កើនការចូលបម្រើសេវាកម្មនិងដំណើរការសម្រួលដ៏ពិតៗគំរូច្នៃប្រឌិតដែលនាំមកនៅលំបំបែកច្រើនបញ្ចូលគ្នាស្វែងរកដំណោះស្រាយដរាបណាមានមនុស្សនៅ Long Beach រស់នៅដោយគ្មានទីជម្រកនេះនឹងមានអត្ថិភាពខ្ពស់នៅក្នុងទីក្រុងខ្ញុំសូមអរគុណក្រុមប្រឹក្សាក្រុងរបស់យើងនិងលោកអភិបាលក្រុងទទួលយកហើយខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ចប់ដោយនិយាយថាខ្ញុំពិតជាមានមោទនភាពចំពោះអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នានិងក្រុមការងារនិងបុគ្គលិករបស់យើងដែលខិតខំកំពុងធ្វើកិច្ចការមនុស្សគ្រប់គ្នាបានចូលមកជាមួយគ្នាពីនាយកដ្ឋានផ្សេងៗនាំយកមកនៅជំនាញរបស់ពួកគេនិងគំនិតរបស់ពួកគេដើម្បីជួយដោះស្រាយវិបត្តិនេះខ្ញុំសូមអរគុណជាពិសេសចំពោះអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាដែលធ្វើការជាមួយជនអនាថារបស់យើងការិយាល័យសេវាកម្មមានការប្រឹងប្រែងនិងបារម្ភច្រើននិងពលកម្មដែលចូលនៅក្នុងការងារនេះប៉ុន្តែពួកគេបង្ហាញខ្លួនពេញមួយថ្ងៃដើម្បីជួយអ្នកជិតខាងរបស់យើងជួបប្រទះភាពគ្មានផ្ទះសម្បែងគ្មានអ្វីដែលយើងសម្រេចអាចកើតឡើងដោយគ្មានពួកគេទាំងនោះទេសូមអរគុណសម្រាប់ការចូលរួមជាមួយនឹងពួកយើង